Hello everyone. In this module, we are going to study about chemical shift equivalence and magnetic equivalence, proton exchange reactions, and effect of a chiral center one by one. First, we shall take up chemical shift equivalence and magnetic equivalence. Whenever I say chemical shift equivalence, we can split that into two terms, chemical shift and equivalence. Chemical shift refers to it is some value for each type of proton present in different type of chemical environment. Equivalence means similar or same. That means chemical shift equivalence is the one which is assigned to same kind of protons which are present in the same chemical environment in order to say that they are chemically equivalent. How we can say whether the given protons are chemically equivalent or not? It is by seeing its NMR spectrum. By seeing the number of signals in the NMR spectrum, one can say that how many types of signals are there or how many sets of different types of protons are there in that particular molecule. Each peak corresponds to a particular kind of proton present in a particular kind of environment. That means to say protons which are present in the same environment will exhibit or will have same chemical shift values. For example, this is tetramethylsilane. Here in this, all the four methyl groups are present in the same chemical environment, and hence I can say that all the methyl groups will have the same chemical shift, or in other words, I can say that it is having or it is showing or it is exhibiting chemical shift equivalence. This is benzene. Benzene, all the protons are having the same chemical environment and hence it is chemically equivalent. This is acetone. Here also, it is a symmetric molecule. On either side of the carbonyl group, there will be one methyl group on each side, and hence I say that it is chemically equivalent. In all these molecules, in all these compounds, you can see that it will give only one peak in the NMR spectrum. That means these are the compounds which are examples for chemically or chemical shift equivalence. On the other hand, take this compound. This is isopropyl bromide. Here in this, in below, we have got Br. That means these two CH3s are present in the same chemical environment, whereas this H is present in different environment. Hence, these two will give one peak, this H will give another peak. So you can expect two peaks in this compound. This is ethyl chloride. Ethyl chloride also exhibits two different peaks or two different signals because CH3 is in different environment, CH2 is in different environment, and hence you can expect two different signals. So these are not chemically equivalent, whereas these are chemically equivalent. But consider the case of vinyl chloride. So far we have seen that methyl, tetramethylsilane, benzene, acetone, they all exhibit single peak, and hence we say that it is chemically equivalent or chemical shift equivalent. Whereas in the case of vinyl chloride, you can see that there are two types of protons at a first instance. So this H attached to this carbon is in different environment because this H is close to Cl, whereas these two hydrogens are present in different environment. Whereas stereochemical formula tells us that all the three hydrogens present in this vinyl chloride are different because this H is in different environment. This HA is trans to chloro, whereas HB is cis to chloro. That means HA, HB, and HC, all the three hydrogens, all the three protons are present in different chemical environment, and hence it exhibits three different peaks in its 1H NMR spectrum. Now, having said so, having defined different examples, now we can define chemical shift equivalence and magnetic equivalence. Chemical shift equivalence means if the two protons are present in a similar chemical environment by virtue of their symmetry and they are not distinguishable from each other, and hence such protons are said to be chemically shift equivalent. In other terms, two protons are defined as chemically equivalent if by virtue of symmetry within the molecule their electronic environments are indistinguishable and therefore they possess the same chemical shift values. That means if two protons are said to be chemical shift equivalent, then you can say that they are present in the same kind of atmosphere. They have got similar kind of chemical environment. In other words, they exhibit only one peak. So those protons which exhibit only one peak in the NMR spectrum, they are referred to as chemical shift equivalent. On the other hand, two protons are defined as magnetically equivalent if each couples equally to a third neighboring proton. Otherwise, these protons are termed as magnetically non-equivalent. That means if there are two neighboring protons and if they couple with each other and also couple with the third proton present in the molecule, then the protons are said to be magnetically equivalent. If they're not coupling with each other, then they are said to be magnetically non-equivalent. In short, chemical equivalence means chemical shift equivalence. Magnetic equivalence means coupling equivalence. Always you have to remember and bear in mind that whenever I say it is chemical shift equivalence, it is nothing but chemical equivalence. Whenever I say coupling equivalence, it is nothing but magnetic equivalence. Now we shall describe this by taking few more examples. Say for example, take this molecule difluoromethane. Here both the protons and both the fluoro groups have got the same chemical environment, and that means to say that these are chemically equivalent. With respect to magnetic equivalence means coupling equivalence. Coupling equivalence is designated by the coupling constant, which is given by the letter or denoted by the letter J. So JAB will couple with JAC, JAD, JBC, and JBD. All the four will show chemical shift equivalence as well as the coupling equivalence. Whereas coming to this is difluoroethene. Here JAC is not equivalent to JAD. JBC is not equivalent to JBD because they both do not couple with each other and hence they are magnetically non-equivalent. This is the example for magnetically equivalent, whereas this is the example for magnetically not equivalent. Note to remember, two protons which are chemically equivalent must also be magnetically non-equivalent. If these two protons are chemically non-equivalent, they also must be magnetically non-equivalent. Two protons can be magnetically non-equivalent while still being chemically equivalent. Say for example, if the two protons which are chemically non-equivalent but still they can be chemically equivalent. The last one, chemically equivalent nuclei are however not necessarily be magnetically equivalent. If the two protons are chemically equivalent, they don't have to be magnetically equivalent. These are the two best examples for these three notes. We shall take two examples to understand chemical shift equivalence and magnetic equivalence. This is ethyl X. X can be chloro, bromo, iodo, fluoro, whatever it is. And these two protons, CH3 and CH2 protons, they both will have different chemical shift. That means they are chemically non-equivalent. With respect to coupling, CH3 will couple with CH2 because this one will give triplet, this one will give quartet. That means both should have same coupling constant J and hence they are magnetically equivalent. That's why we say that magnetically equivalent protons, since HA and HB, they will have same J values and they both couple with each other. We shall take another example. This is epoxy derivative of benzene. Here HA, HB and HC, all the three protons are having different chemical shift values because this H is cis, whereas this HA is cis to O and HB is trans to O. That means they both will have different chemical shift. They are chemically not equivalent, chemical shift not equivalence, whereas this HC is not having any other proton on this side, whereas it has got HP on the other side. That's why this is showing some different chemical shift values. In that sense, HA, HB and HC, they both do not have the same chemical shift values and also they do not couple with each other. That means if the protons are chemically non-equivalent, even they must be magnetically not equivalent. Since JAC, it is 2.46 Hertz, whereas JBC is 4 Hertz. They both have got different coupling constant and hence they are magnetically not equivalent. Now we will take an exercise to study which type of protons are chemically equivalent and which are not chemically equivalent, and also magnetically equivalent and magnetically not equivalent. Say for example, we shall take this dimethyl sulfide. They must be chemically equivalent whereas magnetically not equivalent. This is dichloromethane. This is chemically equivalent and also magnetically equivalent. This is methyl lithium. You are supposed to solve all this by yourself. If you have got any doubts, you can comment in the YouTube channel. Please take the screenshot of this and try to answer by yourself. Next topic that is of much interest for us in this class is proton exchange reactions. As soon as I say proton exchange reactions, that means the protons attached to particular element will show exchange in the particular type of reaction. This can be best studied by using impure ethanol spectrum. This is the 1H NMR spectrum of the impure ethanol. Impure ethanol refers to it will have some added water or moisture in it. So whenever the water is present in the ethanol, it will show different type of spectrum. Before going to this impure ethanol spectrum, we have to understand that the proton, if it is attached to carbon, it will show different type of reaction. If the proton is attached to electronegative elements like oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, then they show exchange reactions. That means to say protons attached to carbon do not show any exchange reaction, whereas protons attached to heteroatoms like O, N, S, P, they will show exchange reactions. The term chemical exchange is used to describe the fact that in a given period of time, a single OH proton may be attached to a number of different molecules. That means to say for example, this is ethanol or ethyl alcohol. In a beaker, there will be n number of Avogadro, in 1 mole of ethanol, there will be Avogadro number of ethanol molecules. That means the H attached to this ethanol will exchange with the H of another ethanol molecule in that 1 mole. That means if you are taking 1 beaker of ethanol, in that 1 beaker there will be n number of ethanol molecule. The hydrogen attached to one oxygen will exchange with the hydrogen attached to another oxygen of another molecule. That means the exchange is so fast that you are not able to distinguish which proton is attached to which oxygen. So this is the impure ethanol spectrum. We know that ethanol or ethyl alcohol is CH3, CH2OH. We have seen while studying the coupling constant that CH3 is coupling with CH2 and CH2 is coupling with CH3. As a result, CH3 should give a triplet, whereas CH2 should give a quartet. That is what is seen here. This is CH3 proton here. H is bold. So this is the peak of this proton, and this is the peak of this CH2 proton. This is giving a triplet. This is giving a quartet. At around 4, you have got another peak for OH. That is for alcoholic group, and hence this H is bold here. One may think that why this proton is not coupled with this, rather it is coupled only with the CH3 proton, the answer to which I'll be giving in a few minutes from now. So this is the impure ethanol spectrum. So as I said, the exchange of proton in the ethanol is so rapid that one particular proton does not reside for a sufficiently long number of time on particular oxygen atom. Imagine this is one ethanol molecule, this is another ethanol molecule. So as a result of exchange, what happens? This H star will go here, this H will come here. This is the proton exchange reaction. This happens particularly when the proton is attached to heteroatoms. So when we can record coupling, when we cannot record coupling, because the exchange is so fast and so rapid that we should be able to see if the exchange has taken place or not. That can be easily observed by Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which is given by delta nu into delta t is equal to 1 over 2 pi, whereas delta t is the time. So if the particular proton is residing on this oxygen atom for a sufficiently longer number of time than the delta t, then one can record coupling. So if this proton is residing for a sufficiently long time on this particular oxygen than the delta t, so you can easily observe coupling. Say for example, if this proton on this oxygen is not residing for a sufficiently long number of time than delta t, then no such coupling will be observed. This proton exchange reaction is both acid as well as base catalyzed. Because this proton is attached to various heteroatoms like oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, this rapid proton exchange reaction can be seen in various types of organic systems or different classes of organic compounds like alcohols, phenols, carboxylic acids, amines, amides, thiols, etc. We will see one by one now. The first is the case of alcohols. For alcohols, the chemical shift will be usually 4 to 5.5. Here, the OH coupling can be seen in pure samples. If the sample is pure, then you can definitely see OH coupling. That means, imagine the ethanol spectrum, impure ethanol spectrum. What happened there? OH did not couple with CH2 and CH2 did not couple with OH, and hence OH gave only one peak because it was impure ethanol spectrum. If you record the pure ethanol spectrum, you will see that coupling takes place, that I will be showing in the next slide. Instead of pure samples, even if you record the NMR spectrum at low temperature, then because of the low temperature, there will be slow exchange. Whenever the exchange is slow, you can easily observe coupling. Also, another tactic that you can use to record the coupling is by using highly polar solvents such as DMSO, that is dimethyl sulfoxide. What is the function of this dimethyl sulfoxide is it stabilizes individual molecules by solvation. When the solvation takes place, then the H present on the particular proton, the proton present on the particular heteroatom will not be available for exchange, and hence the exchange is greatly reduced. So by 3 different techniques you can avoid proton exchange reactions. One is by using pure sample, another one is by lowering the temperature, another one, the last one, is by using highly polar solvent. The alcohol spectrum is also useful by its NMR spectrum in order to distinguish primary alcohol, secondary alcohol and tertiary alcohol. This is the spectra given here. The general formula for primary alcohol is CH2OH, primary, secondary and tertiary. We know that CH2OH, if the sample is pure enough, or if the spectra is recorded at low temperature, or if the spectra is carried using a highly polar solvent, what happens? The coupling takes place. That means CH2 is coupling with OH. So for this H, the neighboring protons will be 2. So n plus 1 rule says that 2 plus 1, 3. So you can expect a triplet for this OH. So primary alcohols will exhibit triplets in its 1H NMR spectrum. Secondary alcohol, general formula is R2CHOH. So this H will couple with CH. So there is only one neighbor, n plus 1, that is 1 plus 1, 2. That means it will give a doublet in its NMR spectrum. This is the doublet. Secondary alcohols will give doublet. Whereas tertiary alcohols, that is R3COH, it does not have any neighboring proton, this OH, and hence it results as a singlet. So tertiary alcohols will give a singlet in the NMR spectrum. That means if you observe any triplet in the NMR spectrum for the OH peak, then it should be a primary alcohol. If you observe a doublet in the NMR spectrum for OH peak, it should be a secondary alcohol. If you observe only one singlet for the OH, then it must be a tertiary alcohol. So 1H NMR is greatly helpful for identifying or distinguishing primary, secondary and tertiary alcohols. So this is the 1H NMR of pure ethanol, or this ethanol was recorded at low temperature. So what happens? Ethanol is CH3, CH2, OH. This CH3 is coupling with CH2. There are 2 protons neighboring, 2 plus 1, 3. That's why it is giving a triplet here. Whereas this CH2, in the earlier case, we saw that it gave a quartet because of coupling with OH. But because it is a pure ethanol, or the spectra was recorded at low temperature, this CH2, it is coupling with CH3 as well as OH. So 3 plus 1, 4, n plus 1 rule is 4 plus 1, 5. So instead of appearing as a quartet, it is appearing as a quintet in this structure. And for this OH, this OH will couple with this CH2. There are 2 neighboring protons, 2 plus 1 is 3. So OH, it is giving a triplet. Because OH is giving a triplet, you can say that the given spectrum is for the primary alcohol. Next, coming to phenols. Usually phenols will have the chemical shift from 6 to 7.7. Here, there are 2 substituted phenols. One is having C double bond O CH3. Another one is having chloro as the substituent. So both are attached to the ortho position. Both the substituents here are attached at the ortho position of the phenol, and hence you can expect hydrogen bonding. Here in hydrogen bonding, no doubt they both are intramolecular hydrogen bonding. That means within the molecule, the hydrogen bonding is taking place. Though it is intramolecular, you can see that strong hydrogen bonding and weak hydrogen bonding. Here between H and OH, you will see that there is a very, very strong intramolecular hydrogen bonding because of the presence of oxygen, and hence the delta value will be eventually 12.05. Because of the very strong delta, because of the strong hydrogen bonding, you will see that delta will be very, very high. Whereas the hydrogen bonding between H and Cl, no doubt there is a hydrogen bonding, but it is not as strong as in this case, because here the heteroatom is O, here it is Cl. Cl is not as electronegative as oxygen in this case. That's why the hydrogen bonding will be weak. As a result, delta will be lower when compared to this. So if it is 12.05, I can say that it is roughly half of the strong intramolecular hydrogen bonding. On dilution, there will be no much difference in the delta, but there will be a very, very less chemical shift value compared to 6.3, and in this case it is independent of concentration. Here it is concentration dependent, because without dilution it is showing 6.3, but upon dilution the delta value is slightly decreasing. Whereas in this case, whatever the dilution you do, even if it is to the ppb level, then there will be no change in the delta value because it is independent of concentration. The next case is enols. We know that en is double bond, ol is alcohol. So if a molecule contains a double bond and an alcohol, you call such compounds as enols, whose delta value will be between 15 to 16. So in this enol, there are two types, alpha diketone and beta diketone. In case of alpha diketone, there will be no much difference in the delta value, or I can say that the delta value will not vary very much. Whereas in the case of beta diketone, the value of delta will vary very much. Why? We will take this diketone. This is beta diketone. This is the functional group, and hence this carbon will be alpha. This carbon will be beta. So whenever there is a molecule like this, usually in the case of diketones, you will see that this proton, it will donate one electron to this, and this will have a negative charge. So as a result of that, you will see that double bond OH, this proton will be abstracted by this oxygen. So this is a rapid equilibrium, and that means to say that LHS will convert into RHS, RHS will get converted into LHS. Whereas when it comes to RHS, you will see that there will be a very, very strong intramolecular hydrogen bonding. As a result of that, the delta value will be very, very high. Usually, the enolic proton is brought at room temperature because of the slow proton exchange reaction. If there is no strong intramolecular hydrogen bonding, then the enolic proton absorbs in about the same range as the phenolic proton, that is 5 to 6.5. This is the case of enols. The next is carboxylic acids. Usually carboxylic acids, they exist as dimer in non-polar solvent. Dimer is two carboxylic acids will join together by means of intramolecular hydrogen bonding. One molecule of COOH, another molecule of COOH. So there will be a hydrogen bond between O and H. There will be a hydrogen between O and H, and this is called a dimer. This dimer is usually shaken if I use polar solvent. So polar solvent, usually it disrupts the dimer and shifts the peak, whereas if you use non-polar solvent, then the dimer will be very, very strong. The last is the case of amines. Amines, the general formula is RnH2. So if the proton is attached to nitrogen, it shows three types of proton exchange reactions, that is rapid, intermediate, and slow exchange. If the exchange is so rapid, that means if the exchange is very, very fast, then you don't see any type of coupling of NH with others. Rather, I can say that this NH2 will appear as a singlet. This is the case of most aliphatic amines. This is an aliphatic amine, ethyl amine. Here what is happening? This NH2 is not coupling with CH2, and the CH2 is not coupling with NH2. Rather, CH2 is coupling with CH3, and hence it is appearing as a quartet, whereas this NH2, it does not have neighbor on this side, it has got neighbor on only this side, and it is not coupling with this neighbor also. As a result, you will get a sharp singlet for this. So these aliphatic amines usually will show fast exchange. So if the exchange is slow, then the NH peak will usually appear as a broad peak in the 1H NMR spectrum. So the slow exchange, this is an amide. This is the best example. So what is happening? CH3, NH. This CH3 is coupling with H and this H of N is coupling with CH3. So this CH3 is appearing as a doublet, whereas this NH is appearing as a broad. So usually if it couples with this, it should be a quartet. Instead of quartet, it will appear as a very broad signal, and broad signal will appear because of the slow exchange. So this is how proton exchange reaction takes place in different systems. So if the proton is attached to O, it will be different type. If the proton is attached to N, it will be of different type. Now we shall see the effect of a chiral center on the chemical shift position or coupling of the molecule. Say for example, if there is a chiral center, what is chiral center? A carbon atom having 4 different substituents. It is called chiral carbon atom. So if there is a chiral center in the molecule, will it have any effect on the adjacent protons present in the molecule? The answer is definitely yes. Say for example, now you consider this carbon. This carbon is substituted by M, L, S, and you treat this as one group. So this carbon is having 4 different kinds of substituents, and hence it is a chiral carbon atom. It is represented by asterisk on the carbon. So if there is any adjacent carbon atom to which the protons are attached, so this is a chiral carbon atom. To this chiral carbon atom is attached one CH2. CH2 is a methylene group. Then you can expect that for obvious reasons, these two protons are having similar environment. But when you split it and write like this, CHA and HB, these methylene groups will not show any kind of coupling. That means this H is having different environment and this H is having different environment. So the protons of a methylene group near a chiral carbon atom, they are not chemical shift equivalent. They are chemically non-equivalent because this HA is having M as neighbor, this HP is having S as neighbor. They couple with each other and each may have a different coupling to a vicinal proton. So these both will couple with each other. They are also magnetically equivalent. Their chemical shift non-equivalent and magnetically equivalent, and this will show coupling in a different manner with that of the neighboring proton. This is the case if a methylene group is attached to a chiral carbon atom. Suppose if the chiral carbon atom is absent in the molecule, then will the methylene groups show different type of coupling? We shall see by taking this example. So here, this is the center carbon atom. Here M is attached on upper side, S is attached on the lower side, whereas on the left hand side and the right hand side, we have got the same molecule RHA, HB, RHA and HB. Because this molecule or this carbon is losing the chirality, even after losing the chirality, this methylene protons, it will show non-equivalence because this HA, these two HA will have M as the neighbor and this HB, these two HBs have got S as the neighbor. So even if you remove the chiral center, then the methylene groups will show non-equivalence. Suppose in this case, the methylene group is directly attached to the chiral center. Whereas in this case, the methylene group is not directly attached to the chiral center. Rather, what is happening? This chiral carbon or the chiral center is attached to oxygen, and then oxygen is in turn attached to the methylene group. So that means these two carbons are separated by some other element. Even after that, you will see that they will show chemical shift non-equivalence because this HA is having M as the long range neighbor, whereas HB has got S as the long range neighbor. So even after removing the chiral center, then you will see that this methylene group will exhibit